You know, I usually go into these videos with a pretty solid idea of what I want the structure of everything to be, but this time, I genuinely have no clue how I want to tackle this topic. Okay, first off, this isn't a drama video. The last thing I want is to pick a genuine fight with the powerhouse known as however you pronounce this username. Like, nobody I'm talking about today can even get upset with me calling them content farms, when there is no way in hell they aren't already self-aware about that fact. There is no sane human being on this planet that has uploaded multiple hours of Rainbow Friend jump scare compilations without being aware of what they're doing. Okay, so what is a content farm? Well, content farms are YouTube channels dedicated to milking popular trends or topics to the ground until all that milk has dried up. The content on channels like this are typically just mass uploads of gameplay with no commentary, featuring outlandish titles and thumbnails to attract all the 6-year-olds on YouTube Kids. As you could probably guess, Five Nights at Freddy's is a prime candidate for content farms. In fact, some of the biggest FNAF YouTubers on this website are content farmers. So don't think I'm punching down here. Everyone I'm talking about is much bigger than I am. I'm not trying to expose these guys. I just wanted an excuse to laugh at some bottom of the barrel FNAF content. Okay, great. Now that that's out of the way, let's start off with Okay, how do you pronounce this guy's name? When I started research for this video, my first major roadblock was learning how you even pronounce this username. In my Post Shift 2 video, I talked about this guy for like 2 seconds and didn't bother figuring it out. But now that he's one of 3 main topics of a video, I kind of have no excuse but to learn how to say this name. For starters, in the English language, the letters I and U rarely come after each other at the start of a word. If you go to a dictionary website and try to look up words that start with IU, you will find words, but it's just pages of words that you've probably never seen, let alone heard pronounced, in your entire life. IUL is an even rarer combination of words in the English language, which doesn't help our case very much. However, because there are words that start with IUL, if I were to take a simple word from that bunch and try to apply it to our username in question here, I could easily figure it out. This is because the end part of the username, LITM, is fairly easy to pronounce, being litm. So I went to work, finding the best word to leech off of to find out how you pronounce this part of the name. I settled on this word, which is pronounced IULITM, which by pure coincidence almost lines up with the username we're trying to decipher. So if we take that first part of this pronunciation, being IU, we can put everything together to reveal once and for all how you pronounce this name. Drum roll, please. IULITM. 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 We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We figured out how to pronounce this username. I would like to thank my mom, my dad, the guy who lives next door that fixed my tub about an hour ago, my friend Acid, my YouTube acquaintance Posterspec, the entire cast of Sister Location. Oh, also this guy uploads FNAF videos. Yeah, that's probably important as well, right? That's what this video is about? Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, let's actually talk about IULITM. This guy's been pumping out FNAF content ever since I was a dumb, stupid kid, and I 100% watched some of his uploads back then too. If you know about him for anything, it's probably his iconic World of Jump Scares series, where he just strings together a bunch of indie horror jump scares back to back to back. One of my favorite random tidbits about IULITM is that his most popular video, after all these years, isn't a FNAF video somehow, but instead a random Plants vs. Zombies Gmod thing from 7 years ago. I just find that extremely amusing, given that the average person almost certainly associates FNAF with this guy. I want to go over some controversy this guy's been in that's listed on his Wikitubia page, because holy shit, some of this stuff is hilarious. In March of 2020, IULITM stopped uploading as much FNAF content as he did before, and instead moved over to a different game, that being the Roblox horror game Piggy. Apparently, his fans were really upset about this, and he got a bunch of backlash. But the real kicker from all this is learning that this guy is like, actual fans? What are you even a fan of when it comes to no commentary gameplay uploads? You're not really a fan of the person, you're a fan of the gameplay they upload. There are examples of this kind of content done well, but this is not a good example of that. Also, I just gotta mention this direct quote from the article here. This led to many people, mostly ex-fans, to see that he would find a famous horror game and milk it to the point where it is unfunny. Sorry, that was just too good not to include. Unfunny. What an interesting descriptor for this. One of the more interesting things about IULITM is that he actually has published a couple games of his own. Well, kind of. It's not really like actual Steam games, but he has a bunch of Roblox devs on payroll that work on games that he can mass upload content for. The most popular of these games is a Piggy FNAF hybrid clone game called Freggy that even has multiple chapters and shit. The existence of this game is hilarious to me because it feels like the result of IULITM thinking to himself how he could exploit the YouTube search and discovery features even more than he already was, and combining Piggy and FNAF was the outcome. The most recent game from this Roblox developer payroll escapade is a game called ABC Lore, which is one of the most desperate attempts at gaming the YouTube system I have ever seen. As you could probably guess, this game is heavily based on those alphabet lore videos that blew up on YouTube a couple months back, and is essentially a love child between that and every Rainbow Friends tier Roblox mascot horror game. At the end of the day though, none of this is really a big deal. At least some Roblox devs are getting some work out of him, and people are getting paid. That's really all that's important here. But that doesn't stop all of this from being extremely funny. IULITM's channel is pretty much dead at this point. While there's still a hit every now and then because of some new Rainbow Friends update shenanigans, the channel is a far cry from its original popularity back in the day. This is probably the result of many years of dividing his audience across many different mascot horror games, and those original FNAF fans from back then growing up and having better things to do than watch World of Jumpscares Part 3345. And I'm sure those original fans aren't interested in Rainbow Friends or ABC Lore or whatever. Yeah, IULITM is trying his hardest to game the YouTube system by mass uploading actual slop on a daily basis, but it's one of the more harmless content farms out there, all things considered. Next up is Jaze Cinema, and I'm gonna be straight up, I barely know anything about this person. I just thought I'd include him because if I didn't, there would probably be a million comments saying I forgot them. Which no, it's hard to straight up forget this guy when talking about FNAF content farms, since he is a prime example of one. I just don't have much to say, so I'll try to keep this section brief. This channel is dedicated to mass uploading FNAF animation content. What I'm assuming goes on here is that Jaze just has a bunch of people on payroll so he can upload as many animations as possible. If you've ever seen those fake FNAF AR character animations on YouTube before, there's a good chance they're from this channel. It's actually really funny how little this channel tries to hide the fact it's a complete content farm, since there are re-uploads of videos already on the channel back to back with each other on multiple occasions throughout the massive catalog of videos. A lot of the content here isn't even bad per se. Jaze hires a lot of talented animators to make stuff for the channel, but other than the literal basic info with the channel, there's not that much interesting stuff to talk about here. I just thought I'd acknowledge that Jaze exists. While IULITM and Jaze are probably the most well-known FNAF content farms on YouTube, I wouldn't classify either of them as the worst. It's not like either of them are trying to hide the fact that what they're doing is blatant farming. I would give that title to a different channel. A channel that you may know, a channel that you may not know, a channel known as Top 10 Gaming. These guys, they were just the appetizers. This is the main course. Originally, I just wanted to make a video on this channel because it's one of the funniest pieces of FNAF content on the entire internet. But I thought it'd be a little easier to wrap it up in a bit of a disguise. Do you really think I give a shit about Jaze Cinema? Of course not. It was all part of my plan. I just wanted an excuse to talk about top 10 animatronics that should be turned into fucking pink sauce. I think the banner of this channel really speaks more words than I ever could about its quality. We have a 144p image of a stock blue background with a slightly faded 144p Freddy render on one side and a poorly cut out 144p image of Springtrap's FNAF 3 jump scare on the other side. First thing that is blatantly obvious here is that Freddy render is 100% stolen fan art. Hey everyone, editing uhyeah here. So I decided to try to find the source of this fan art they stole, because I knew I could find it. Eventually I found the image itself, but I couldn't find the source. So I went to Twitter, and after a couple hours, someone actually found it. Shout out to Rubbish Shrock on Twitter for locating the original source of this fan render. So after years of this render being used in this banner without credit, I can finally credit you/GamerOlbani for making this render 4 years ago. There are some Freddy fan renders that are very easy to mistake for official ones, such as this one here that tricked me and many other people. But this one is so blatantly fan art that I'm surprised they even used it. Well, I say that, but stealing fan art is just a normal occurrence for this channel. There's literally no trying to hide it as well. The thumbnails are riddled with fan art, fan renders, and the videos are much better in that department. Surprisingly, the Springtrap render on the poster isn't a stolen fan render, but they somehow did the literal worst job possible cutting it out, so it looks like a circle with a green shit stain at the bottom. This description of the channel banner pretty accurately sums up the entire channel's quality. A while ago, I made a video about Smike, who was considered one of the most hated FNAF YouTubers back in the early days of the FNAF scene. My video wasn't really much of an opinion piece, and more of a historical retelling of events for people to watch and learn from. A lot of the things that Smike did that people hated were stealing fan art and making lazy top 10s. At the end of the day though, Smike apologized for his use of fan art without permission, and even tried improving his content before he fell off the face of the earth and never uploaded again. Smike was a genuine, down-to-earth guy who made some mistakes and tried his very best to make things right. Top 10 Gaming is essentially the modern-day version of Smike, where in an alternate universe, he never tried to improve his content, and he became worse and worse with the unauthorized usage of fan art and fan content. Smike is a fucking angel compared to this actual pit of nothing content. The channel's main host is this guy called Connor, aka the Cheese King. However, that's really just the tip of the iceberg here. If you take a look in the description of any of their videos, you'll see the producer of the channel is some guy named Landon. Checking their Instagram then leads you to another channel called Most Amazing Top 10, which is a massive top 10 channel with nearly 8 million subscribers. So essentially, this guy won at life. He just hires a bunch of people to run these channels without a care in the world if the info on them is accurate or if there's permission given to the use of various pieces of fan art that's being blatantly stolen here. Now, it should be obvious you shouldn't harass anyone I talk about in this video, but especially don't bother the hosts of this channel, because they are literally just being paid to work on them. They could very well be responsible for the mass amount of stolen content on display here, but at the end of the day, it should probably be the job of the employer to make sure the content being uploaded isn't shady or full of stolen art. Anyway, enough about this guy. We have more important things to tackle here, such as top 10 hottest FNAF animatronics of all time, part 2. There's 2 parts with one of the most degenerate thumbnails I have ever seen in my entire life. Oh yeah, that'll get the kids to click on our shitty top 10 video. Put naked Roxanne Wolf in the thumbnail. This kind of obvious clickbait degenerate content is surprisingly common on YouTube these days, but this channel's target audience is very obviously supposed to be children, so when you're doing shit like this, it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit suspicious. These videos have a different host by the name of Amanda, which makes a lot of sense when you're trying to pump out as much actual slop as possible. This video in particular is probably exactly what you think it is, a soulless top 10 list of FNAF characters that are hot. This horny baiting degenerate stuff isn't even confined to just these videos. The same picture of naked Roxy is used in a thumbnail for a video just about Roxanne Wolf facts. The mission here is pretty obvious. Pump out as much low-effort top 10 content on weird, trendy horror game topics, with zero regard for the actual content itself. If that isn't a content farm, I don't know what is. And yes, I would argue that this is the worst FNAF content farm, because at least with the other people we talked about today, they aren't trying to hide the fact they're a content farm. This channel, on the other hand, is trying to disguise itself as a simple, humble top 10 channel, when it's very obviously more than that. If you aren't convinced this is a content farm yet for some reason, there's something else that may change your mind. Let me introduce you to Top 10 Gaming's sister channel, Top 10 Gaming Elite. This channel is the main reason I wanted to talk about these guys, because it is some of the most blatant content farming you will ever see in your entire life. All this channel consists of is mixed and matched clips from pre-existing top 10s they had already uploaded on the main channel. This wouldn't be so bad if they were advertised that way, like compilations of sorts, but of course they aren't. Each of these videos is titled and thumbnailed as if it was an original video, so I had to just teach myself that this was a compilation channel by sitting down and watching a couple of them. The most obvious giveaways are that the outfits the hosts wear often change from scene to scene, and sometimes the host is just straight up different in some parts of the video. The biggest thing though is that the actual content of the video borderline barely matches up with the title and thumbnail. My favorite of these has to be the already mentioned Pink Sauce video, because obviously Pink Sauce is never mentioned by name in it, so it's just these insane clips of the host talking about why they want to eat like Ballora and shit.
And at 9 Ballora. Okay, there is no real safe way to say this, so I might as well go all in. Cannibalism is a real thing that people partake in.
This then brings up the question of what the original top 10 these are from is. What pre-existing top 10 did these people make where they needed to talk about eating animatronics alive? Anyway, this channel just bangs out 40-minute video after 40-minute video of the most mind-numbing top 10 compilations you will ever watch in your entire life. The hosts are clearly not going off a hard script of any kind, so they kind of just bumble around and fill up air until they can move on to the next part of the list. I could listen to an argument that the main channel isn't a content farm, but this 100% is. Anyway, now that you all have a pretty solid understanding of what these channels are, let's laugh at them. In the video, Top 10 Scary Things Glamrock Freddy Has Done, which by the way, hilarious thumbnail on this one, one of the points is copyright infringement. No, I will not provide context because it's way funnier without it. But regardless, how is this a point on a list of scary things Glamrock Freddy has done? Like what? Congratulations for somehow getting 10 different facts for this video though. Must have been a real brain teaser. Next we have top 10 scary games not even Markiplier would play. I'm literally just going to play the opening of this video because it genuinely says more than I ever could.
In at 10, FNAF.
There's a genre on the Top 10 Gaming channel where they talk about fan animatronics, which really just boils down to the host murmuring about random bullshit for like 10 minutes. Something about this video of Connor standing in front of the most obviously fake image I have ever seen with a fucking Gmod model Devil Freddy as part of a video called Top 10 Scary FNAF Urban Legends that could end up being real, really just sums up this entire channel. Anyway, I could go on, but you all get the picture by this point. If you ever want a good laugh, I highly recommend this channel. I hope they never stop posting and outlive literally every other FNAF YouTuber ever. This is peak FNAF content. Being serious though, it would be cool if these people stopped using a million pieces of fan art in every video, or at least got credit for everything, but I doubt that will ever happen. Gotta keep up that content farm grind, you know? Anyway, that's all from me today. Tune in next time when I make some dumbass content farm tier videos like top 10 Springlock failure victims or all Rainbow Friends jump scares. Oh, or even maybe 1 billion lions versus every, oh, I'm doing that one. Yeah, that's the next video. Yeah, okay, tune in next, I'm doing that video. I am doing 1 billion lions versus every FNAF animatronic. God damn it. All right, see you next time, bye.